the single biggest realization that I've had in recent weeks, and it's been growing over time. But when we talk about a revolution and overturning society, all of these very extreme terms, I think we need to make sure that we understand exactly what it is, what evidence we have to point to that those views, those conclusions are warranted. And that then brings me to what I see happening increasingly with the left, the Democrats. And again, those terms are interchangeable. The Democrats are the left are Democrats. The left just encompasses a little bit more than the mainstream Democrat Party. I mean, I guess technically the hard left anarchists out there think that they're something other than Democrats, Antifa and whatnot, although not all of them. So we have some basic agreements in society. There are some things that we all are supposed to see eye to eye on, irrespective of politics. And what we've entered here is a political campaign, which is what's going on. The rioters in the streets, the attacking of stores, the looting, the arson, the destruction and defacing of statues that are priceless and that are pillars of our shared history in some cases and civilization. All of that is different from what we normally think of as political debate and exchange, because it's about changing the very foundation, the underlying, the bedrock of our society. It's not arguing over the marginal tax rate. This isn't a question of one specific foreign policy decision. Should we intervene in some country or not? That's a political question. Should we all agree that human beings have a right to self-defense? That shouldn't be a political question. We're supposed to all agree on that. And then perhaps some policies that come from that, some policies that are linked to the implementation of that principle, that's where there could be some disagreement. But what I'm increasingly seeing from the mob, the Democrat mob, is a complete rejection of some of these shared principles. And I'm not saying this is the first time or this is brand new, but this is what we have to understand to really come to grips with this movement. It's not that they want to make sure the SALT tax deduction is changed the way that it has been or never goes back to what it was before. No, they want you to understand that we're going to be living in a society increasingly where historical oppression is used to determine your access to the law and to its protection, meaning there will be some protected groups and some unprotected groups. That based upon the rage of those destroying buildings, calling for the defunding of cops, attacking law enforcement officers, some laws just frankly don't count anymore. We've already seen this with vandalism. Until recently, it would have been a widely shared belief. It would have been a widely shared belief that you can't destroy property that's not yours without consequence. But no, that has gone out the window. That has been tossed aside. And until recently, if you were in credible fear of your life as well as your property, you would be able to at least mount some defense of that. Now, this brings me to the video that you've likely seen at this point from over the weekend, a video of a lawyer and his wife, I believe they're both lawyers, in St. Louis, and they stepped in front of it's like a restored palace. It's a very nice house that has taken, from what I understand, a very long time to put into its current condition, millions and millions of dollars going into the renovation. And a mob broke into a gated community and stepped onto their property and was chanting and screaming. Now, I have to tell you, my friends, if that's my house and I'm prepared enough to have a semi-automatic rifle, I'm not going to sit there and hope that they don't start throwing bricks through my windows and maybe see if they can get in through the front door. Standing in front of your home with your lawfully owned firearm. Remember, we had all these people with firearms in Seattle in the Chaz. Media had no problem with that. Now, they're declaring an autonomous zone, which is illegal and is really an act of insurrection in Seattle, but perhaps we'll get to that later. This individual standing outside of his house, or these individuals, a husband and wife, this is a fundamental American right to self-defense and defense of one's property, defense of one's rights. You don't have to wait to be victimized. This is what the left is rejecting in all of this. All of a sudden, they're calling for, oh, he brandished a weapon in violation of statute. Oh, now there's sticklers for the law. Now the letter of the law, and by the way, the letter of the law has to be taken into account fully here. This was not public property. This is on private property. And they were in incredible fear of assault. Now they would not had the right without an actual attack of some kind to use those firearms, but to stand outside your home with them? What law does that break? But the left doesn't like this, you see, because they've been getting away with the threat of force for so many weeks. Getting away with the threat and the use of force with very little pushback from the federal level, very little pushback from the state level. They like this. They like the sense that they own the streets and can do what they want without consequences. The moment that citizens, civilians, who have recourse to the Second Amendment, which we do not really here in New York City, I'll just have you know. So at least in St. Louis, as many problems as that city has, and I know it does have a substantial violence problem, among the worst in the entire country, but at least law-abiding citizens are able to have weapons there. This is a reminder, my friends. This whole situation, not just what happened in this video that you can see in St. Louis, this whole situation is a reminder of why the Second Amendment is so important and why the left hates it so much. They seek to coerce you. They seek to use either actual force or the imminent threat of force to get you to shut up, do exactly as they say about everything. There is no part of your life that is not subject to their whims. There is no aspect of your day-to-day existence that they will not seek to control. We see this happening. Wear a mask, peasant. Stay inside. Don't go to church. Can't go to your job. Oh, but a bunch of lunatics marching, screaming, yelling, saying they want to overturn the United States government. They want to destroy things, destroy the cops. That's fine. But you can't go to your job. You better wear a mask and shut up, or else. This is why we have the Second Amendment as a defense against tyranny and, of course, the inherent right to self-defense that comes from being armed. We are all getting a reminder of that right now. I am torn between leaving where I live in New York City because I don't want to just completely hand over my home, my hometown, to the mob, and going to a place where at least I know that I'd be able to have an AR, a platform I'm very well trained on, know quite well, I'm very comfortable with, and it would be a bad idea for a violent mob to storm my house if I were inside with a semi-automatic rifle. A very bad idea indeed. And this is a reminder, I think, to the mob across the country that there are limits. Just because the police, because of politicians telling them to, aren't able to fully do their jobs, just because the police know that they will not have the political backing they need to enforce the law, it does not mean that everyone plans on being helpless. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.